Hey everyone, how are you guys doing today? If you can put in the chat, I just want to make sure you can hear me. If you can say yes, hey, awesome, okay. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. All right, if you can do me a favor and select the meme that describes how you feel the most. A, B, C, D, E, or F. And why don't you go ahead and just put it in the chat? Which meme best describes how you feel about feedback? I'm seeing a lot of variations from A to D to F. I think at times we all feel a variety of ways. So again, we are welcoming you to our training on providing meaningful feedback. And feedback or grading papers is oftentimes the least thing that teachers want to do. Now, the purpose of this meeting is to do a couple of different things. I want to show you how to provide feedback in various platforms. I also want to provide strategies to provide feedback and ways to organize your feedback. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat. The moderator, Ms. Katrina Parker, will be providing trending questions, and we will periodically have a Q&A session. So here is a little bit about me. My name is Tiffany Grant. I am a math teacher. I have been an educator for nearly 15 years. I have taught virtually the past 5 years, and I currently teach middle, high school, and college students. And my motto is to work smarter, not harder. So I would like to share some things with you that I have found useful with providing feedback in a virtual setting. Okay, so what I would like to do is Melissa's going to go ahead and post this link in the chat. And I would like to just quickly see which platform your school is using. So if you go into the chat, you should be able to see a link. Yep. Or you can put it in the chat. I'm seeing that some people are putting Google Classroom. Okay, I'm seeing Canvas. And this is just a live screening of just trying to get a pulse check of the room. Obviously, there's a lot more platforms, but I know from my personal children, they are using a lot of Google Classroom. As a NCVirtual teacher, I've used Canvas, and now I'm starting to use Zoom, which is also pretty interesting. So if you're just coming in, if you go to the chat, there is a link from Melissa Davis, and it is a link to just to see what type of platforms your schools are using. This kind of gives me an idea of where I need to go. So I'm seeing that there's a lot of different platforms that schools are using, which is good. So I'm seeing Google Classroom, Canvas, Google Hangouts. You've used Canvas, and it seems as so many districts are using that. Oh, you can't click on the link. You can just put it in the chat. So it looks like many of us are using Canvas and Google Classroom, along with Google Hangouts. It seems like a lot of people are kind of going away from Blackboard. And I understand that some people can't click on the link. It's not super, super important. It just gave me an idea to see what districts are using across the state. All right, so today we're going to talk about providing feedback. And oftentimes when we provide feedback, we need to kind of think about the common types of errors. Because if we kind of keep that in mind, that kind of helps guide our feedback. So common types of errors that I have come up with was they misread the directions. As a math teacher, a lot of times they solve for X instead of answering the question, or a careless mistake, or they didn't quite understand the concept error. Go ahead and put in the chat, do you know of any other common types of errors that you have? Now, keep in mind, I'm coming from a math teacher perspective, but looking at the chat, I have teachers that are CTE, I have teachers that are science and social studies. So just give me an idea of what type of errors that you commonly see. Awesome. ESL students need more paraphrasing and therefore do not understand the question. And as you're collecting your thoughts, the reason why I'm asking you the types of errors that you see is because a lot of times transitioning from a brick and mortar or a face-to-face environment into a virtual classroom can be a little overwhelming. So if you kind of put your mindset in the types of mistakes or the types of errors or the types of things that you do in your face-to-face classroom, that transition will seem less overwhelming. Yeah, usually misread errors and don't understand what's being asked. So I'm just reading along in the chat. Yes, math vocabulary is very challenging. So I appreciate you writing in the chat. I want this to be as engaging as possible. So I'm going to give you some strategies that I found along the way. And then again, we'll have some times to sit here and check in the chat. Now, Melissa is going to put a link in the chat, and this is a link to a Padlet. And basically what this is I just want to see how you describe describe how you give feedback in the following errors. So Melissa just went ahead and put that in the chat, and I'm going to go to the actual link so I can see it in real time. And I'm going to pause for about 3 minutes so you can sit there and write in the chat just to kind of get your mind going on the types of ways how do you correct these errors? Because again, as you're providing feedback, you want to sit there and it will help you figure out how you go about the feedback. So again, the chat is, or the Padlet has, or I guess the chat has the Padlet. And then how do you, I'm seeing that they're not reading the questions carefully. Well, what do you do? How do you sit here and, prevent yourself from saying the same thing over and over again? By the end of this hour, hopefully we can sit here and make these connections of what we do in a face-to-face environment and translate it over into a virtual environment. Okay, so I'm seeing that you should be able to click on the link, but if there's some reason that you can't, just put it in the chat. And yes, I do use Google Voice. That's actually really awesome to be able to have that and to sit there and talk with them, or to sit there and have an opportunity to text back with them. That relationship, even though we're in a virtual room or virtual environment, that relationship and that rapport that you build with your students really helps, connect with your students. They're able to receive that information. So if you're just coming in, what we're doing right now is we're looking at a Padlet and we are answering the question to describe ways that we give feedback. And we're going to take these ways and kind of keep this in our mind as I go over some ways that I give feedback to my students. I'm seeing a lot of really, really great things. About making screencast, which we're actually going to talk about in a little bit, and rereading the questions. I'm seeing a lot of modeling, all of those great things and strategies that you do in your face-to-face environment that can happen again in your virtual environment. And hopefully I can show you some ways and some strategies to make that a little bit easier for you. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of good strategies. For time purposes, I just want to move on. So I'm going to go back to my slide. But hopefully you guys can see my screen so you can see some of the things that your peers are doing in their classrooms. And that might trigger some things. Oh, I haven't thought about that, or I haven't done that in a while, or I haven't tried that with this class yet. So it's always good to brainstorm and collaborate with others. So I'm going to go away from this. And let's see if I can get back to this. All right, so many of you have told me that you use Google Classroom along with a lot of other things. Now, a lot of times how I provide feedback, whether it's in Canvas or in Blackboard or in any type of Google Doc or even Word document, I like to leave comments. Now, does anybody see an error in this? Now, this came from my daughter who's in second grade. This was one of their Google Classroom assignments that they had, where they had the answer or they had the question and then they had to write in the block. Now, I went in and I changed one of the answers. But does anybody, you can put in the chat, which answer is incorrect? And maybe what kind of error is it? So in looking at the chat, I'm seeing that a lot of people are seeming to say that it's 3. Now, again, it might be hard. I'm seeing that some people can tell me what the error is. And sometimes it's a little hard without actually seeing the student's work to see where they, made their mistake at. Is it the regrouping, or is it the carrying the one? Do they not know what they're doing? Is it a careless mistake? Did they copy the problem down wrong? So all this is things to kind of keep in mind as you're creating your digital assignments. You can still do the same things that you do in your face-to-face classroom, but you want to make sure that you give the students an assignment that can give that you can be able to provide feedback to help improve their grades. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about leaving comments. And again, this can work with Canvas. It can work with, again, Google Classroom. It could work on, I guess in this particular instance, this was a Google slide. So that's what we're going to sit there and we're going to focus on. Now, those of you that are not math teachers and those of you that don't know the elementary way of the way that they're doing math, I have a visual for you. This is pretty common where they're sitting there and, they're adding 3-digit numbers and they're breaking out or decomposing the number. So before I even get ahead of myself, how could you leave feedback? We're going to talk about leaving a comment, but before, let me pull the webinar or the room. What would you do to leave feedback, or how would you leave feedback? Go ahead and put that in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of great things that are in the chat. By, asking, reiterating the question or asking, well, tell me this, or relating of, hey, remember when we did this, or show me how you got your answer. So as a math teacher, I'm really big on visuals. I really want to see that thought process of work. I know it's different depending on the actual content that you're in. Now, this is something that, again, it works in any type of Google Hangout, not Google Hangout, but Google Classroom. When you put something in Google Classroom, a lot of times it's either a Google slide or a Google document. I'm seeing someone said that you can put it in the speaker notes, which is excellent. Even if when you're doing in Canvas, all you really need to do is you're going to click or highlight on the word, phrase, or image. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about a little bit. Now, sometimes when I'm in a meeting and I'm trying to look at the visuals and follow along, it takes me a while to process. So I'm going to go through step by step, but when we send this out, it has, just a kind of a little cheat sheet of what I did in order to get to it. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if I can exit out of this. And I hope this doesn't go too much over here. But do you see how I have the clicking the highlight or the word or phrase? So whenever you want to leave a comment, you can just sit here and you can highlight, where the student went wrong at. Now, you could either, highlight a word or a phrase, or in this case, I'm seeing that the kid didn't have the right answer. So I can actually click on it. And when you click on it, we have a little blue box. And then you can right click on it. And then do you see where it says comment? Now that is pretty much a universal thing. No matter if you're in a Word document, if a kid uploaded a Word doc assignment, or if they're in this case, I'm in Google Sheets or in Google Docs or whatever, you always want to sit there and click on the comment. And then when you sit there and you can comment, then you can actually see, hey, you're on the right track. And a lot of times you want to make it personal. So I try to use that student's name. So you're on the right track, Tiffany. Check your sticks. Do you have 7 green sticks? So looking over here, I'm doing 383 plus 475. And with looking at their work, I'm seeing that I have a total of 6 green sticks. So depending on your students, depending on, your audience, you may want to sit there and point them in the right direction. A lot of times we don't want to just sit there and say, hey, this is wrong, or give an X. You want to kind of refocus their instruction. And a lot of times when you ask those follow-up questions, then you can sit there and figure out a little bit more. So that is selecting the comment. And then now we typed our comment. And depending on your students, they might even be able to, if they click underneath it, they can reply back to you. So here's the comment, and the student then said, hey, I needed to have 7 sticks. My answer is off by 10. Now, depending on your students, I know sometimes typing might be, an issue. I know with my second grader, her pecking at the, the keyboard can be a little a pain. So on a lot of these LMSs or learning management systems, you can always do a speech to text where the student actually sits there and types into there. So that for you might be helpful, and something to point out to your students and your parents. Now, what I want to do is I want to practice an assignment where we have, before it was just a math problem. So for my language arts teachers or, my social studies teachers, where we're sitting there and we have a constructed response. Now, depending on the type of document, a lot of times it could either be a Word document where they can sit in there, and again, you can highlight the words and then give your comment. However, sometimes you may have a student that will upload a picture. They will either scan it, or they can sit there and they can take a picture of it and then they upload it. So for those of you that, especially for me, where I have, for math, I want to see a picture of their work. They can sit in here and you can provide or model what you want by sitting there and clicking on that little box up here, the little image box, and they can upload an image from their computer. The problem with this is that because it's an image or a PDF or an upload, it's really hard for me to sit there and make a comment. So what you can do is you can kind of create your own little box. And in order to do that, what I tend to do, and this again is universal in Google, Google products, Google Slides, Google Docs, even in Excel, you can sit there and, or Google Sheets, you can sit there and you can right click on it and you can leave a comment. But what I like to do is I like to sit here and, for example, my daughter put, hello, my name is Bria. Now, I noticed that she put a semicolon there, and a semicolon is great. However, it might be better if she puts a period. So I can sit here and put, bring notation to where I want by sitting here, and you can pick whatever type of image you want, right? And you can sit here and you can change it. For me, what I had is I had this little box right here. And in order for me to do that, and again, I'll go over to the next slide, you can sit there, you're gonna go and you are going to create your box. And oftentimes it has a fill. So once you create your box, you can sit here, click on the box and go to the fill, which is the inside, and hit transparent. That way I can sit there and I can really sit there and see, hey, this was a semicolon when it probably should have been a period. And then you do the same thing that we did before. You sit there and you right click on it and then you hit your comment. And then here's my comment over here. I love that you use a semicolon. It may be better if you use a period. And the great part about that is once you have your box, you can sit here and copy it. And then you can paste it. And then you can bring it to the next issue that they have, which for me, it's not really moving down. So I'm just going to use my good old-fashioned arrow key. And again, I can sit there and I can leave the next comment. Now, for those of you that need a cheat sheet, to make the box that I did, remember I selected the tool, so I go over here where it says circle and square. Then I can sit here and pick whatever image I want. It's going to give you that plus symbol, which is that drawing symbol. And then once you draw your box, you can change it. You can change the filling of it. In my case, I made it transparent. Or you can sit there and you can have an arrow and you can change the color so it's like bright red or bright blue to sit there and bring attention to it. And you can change the outline if you want to it. And then once you do it, again, right click on it. And then you can sit there and you can attach your comment. All right. Are there any questions? Oh, I'm seeing you can also notate the Google Drawing and annotate using text boxes. Really easy to annotate an image that way. That's awesome. So what she's saying is I can sit here and let me go back to it. Let's see. I can annotate the pictures by sitting here and actually doing the text box over here. And I can sit here and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I can sit here and I can type in the text box and I can sit there and show it right over there. Sometimes you can sit there and even, there's one arrow that I kind of like over here where I want to sit there and I can type into that right over here. And then you can have your text box over here. So that's awesome that you can sit there and they can go back over there. A lot of times, again, if it's a Google Classroom, whenever you make a comment, it oftentimes goes to their email. So sometimes when you put in there, it goes straight to their email, so they'll get a notification with that. That's a great suggestion. You can also make it. Awesome. All right. Any other questions while I'm here? Where do I get my clip art? So for working with NCVirtual, we're really big on copyright. And so I do a lot of my clip arts are from Pixabay. And so it's something that's free and online. But what I tend to do a lot of times is I use the Bitmoji queen. So this little thing up here, this little green mark right over here, if you set up the Bitmoji app on your phone, you can sit there and you can click on it. And then I can sit here and I can take it and I can draw it down. Now, because a lot of people are at home right now, Google Drawing or Google products in the Bitmoji app doesn't always work out the way it should, because there's a lot of users on here. You can also right click on it and copy copy that image and put that down over there. But it really works really well. Like I sit there and it's actually an add-on. So if you go and you Google, Bitmoji add-on, you can add it right onto your desktop. So I drag it in emails. A lot of times if I'm in Canvas, or I work a lot with Edgenuity, if I'm trying to sit there and send a note to a student, I just go to that little add-on and I just drag it down into there. So if you insert comments on a Google Doc, the student gets an email. Yes, oftentimes if you set it up that way, especially if that student, it depends on how your school sets it up. A lot of times if, what I've noticed in the past is if I have, on my, like if I have a sheet, or if I have a Google spreadsheet or a Google Slides, sometimes the kids will sit here and they'll take it and they'll, take a file, they make the copy of it, and then they can share it with you. Then that email that's associated with that, when you make a comment, it goes to everybody in there. But you have to be cautious with that, because sometimes anytime someone makes a comment, you always get an email, so it can really clog up your inbox. But I like the comments, because if you see the comments, it will sit there and give you the time and date that they have that. And a lot of times you can sit there, if you type something and you want to you made a mistake, or for me, I see typos all the time, I can sit there and I can edit it. Another really cool thing is I can sit there and copy it and paste it to somebody else. Ooh, awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for putting the Bitmoji extension. All right. All right, so the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about making a video. And now I know I have some experts in here, because I saw that some people talked about Screencast-O-Matic. Now I'm going to talk about Screencast-O-Matic, making a video at Zoom, and then some screenwriting apps for tablets and iPads, and screenwriting pens. Now, I know that there are a lot of other apps, so if you can, put it in the chat. I will tell you, when I first started teaching virtually, I think it was Jing or something, and I just remember that first day or that first night where I'm sitting there and I was making the video, I was really overwhelmed because I couldn't possibly add in something new to my brain. So Screencast-O-Matic saved me, because all I had to do was just go to the website, download it, and then hit record. So these are some time-saving things. Now, it's not fancy like how I know Camtasia is, where you can, edit and record and all that other stuff. But these, again, is just something that's quick and easy. And I know that there are, depending on your computer, there are a lot of different apps that are already built into your computer. I know for my Mac, I think I have a screen recorder where you can automatically record your screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about making a video using Screencast-O-Matic. Now, remember, when you get these slides, you can sit here, and a lot of these links are live. Now, you won't be able to click on the screen right now, but this will, again, give you step-by-step instructions. If you haven't already, you'll go to Screencast-O-Matic, which is this link right over here, and it'll look something like this, similar to this. So you can go in there and you can log in and sign up, and it's a free account. Now, I want to say there is a paid version. I think the version that I have that I'm going to show you that allows you to write on it is a paid version, and I think it's like $30. Now, again, you can still do it with the free version. But you go into the Screencast-O-Matic, you can log in. Oftentimes, you can log in straight with your Google account. And then what you're going to do, let's see, sorry, is you're going to, I know it's kind of hard to see, but once you log in, you're going to record that launch. So once you sit there and you log in, there's a couple of different ways you can do. Now, I'm already automatically logged in. Now, depending on your screen, you can sit there, and for me, it's already on your dock, or a lot of times I forget about it. So I just go straight and I type in Screencast-O-Matic and then I start recording. So once you sit there and you upload it, or once you sit there and download the recording, it automatically comes right over here. And you'll see this little red thing. I think it just went away. And it's sweet because what I like to do, the reason why I like using Screencast-O-Matic is because I can adjust my screen. Once you already download it, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Do you see that I have this little black and white little line? I can sit there and I can adjust the screen. So I love doing this because I oftentimes make my screens the Google Slides. And then I can sit here and on the, the left-hand side, I can have my little slide deck and I can easily toggle between screens. So once again, it's really simple and straightforward. Once you sit there and you get your screen, then you just hit this little record button and it counts down 3, 2, 1. And this right over here is a worksheet that I would use in my regular class. So again, we're in a virtual environment. What you would do at the overhead, ooh, that's dating back at me. What would you do at the document camera, or what would you do at the whiteboard, or the smart board? It's the same thing. You pull up the file, and you can sit there and you can hit record. Now, what I want to do really quickly is show you what it looks like. And are we not going to work? Okay, so do you guys see, can you see on my screen where it says record, and you see like this little green button over here that lets me know that you can actually hear me? The computer audio, really, that's just so you don't hear the clicking away. But what I tend to do is I can sit here and I can adjust. And you see how I have on my screen, a lot of times when I make my videos of, student feedback or just in general, I can sit here and just take a screenshot of it and upload it into, my thing. And then I can just sit there and toggle back and forth. But what I love about this is, now you can sit here and change the settings where you can change, if I can sit here and have the webcam, or you can have both. A lot of times I just do the screen. And then you just sit there and it counts down 3, 2, 1. Now, if you hit this little pencil, it depends on what you use, right? So I could sit here and I can, if you click over here, that's the freehand in the drawing. A lot of times I like to use highlight, where I can go over here and I can change the color and I can identify or highlight keywords or vocabulary. So I want them to talk to me about the vertex. So when I sit there and I have the vertex, I'm sitting there and that's what we're looking for. So a lot of times, students have a hard time answering the questions. That's where their errors are, because they're misreading the questions. They're trying to identify the vertex, which is this thing right over here. So you see how I can sit here and I'm just really using my mouse. I can sit here and I can make a recording, and I'm recording in live time as I am sitting here and answering this question. And I can sit here and show them, because a lot of times they mix up their, X's and Y's. So I went over 3 and it looks like I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm using my mouse. We'll go over some pens in a little bit and I can give you some pros and cons. And then you see how I'm sitting here and I'm answering the question. Now, what's great, a lot of times I like to, get the biggest bang for my buck. I like to sit here and I talk about the vertex, or I talk about other key features or other things. But do you see how I only have, just a quick and short video of 1 minute and 25 seconds? And sometimes what happens is I mess up. I don't really like this. I want to go back. I can sit here and I have to take the pen off, and then I can sit here and I can go back a little bit. And then I can sit here and it says yes to truncate, which means go back to that, a little bit further. And then I can start over again. So I've used, I forgot what it's called. There's another app that I liked using when I first started this, but I realized, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, that when I would record, I would, trip over my words, or I would say something and then I would have to start all over again. With Screencast-O-Matic and with a lot of other features, all you have to do is just pause and then go back over it. And then you just hit done. And then I like to hit save and upload. And I want to make sure I save it to a video file. Now, a lot of times you can, I think the automatic feature is saving it to their cloud. I don't like to do that because if a lot of students are in the cloud, and especially now that a lot of people are home, that cloud can sit there and be a little slow. So I like to make sure I save it to as a video file, and you can sit there and you can rename it. And a lot of times I like to put it to my desktop, and the only reason why I use the desktop is just so I can sit there and find it a lot easier. And then you can sit there and you can publish it. So this is just a quick review of making sure you're saving it to as a video file. Now, when you upload your video, this is the beauty of the feedback, or if you're putting it in to, you know, different websites. I just saw in the chat something about Flipgrid, or you want to sit there. I sometimes put it in a Google slide, or I put it in a Google site, or I actually put it in the, remember we were talking about the comments. I can sit there if I'm annotating the image. If I want to make a video, a really quick video, I can sit there and I can put that link into the actual text. So what I like to do is I go to my drive and I create a folder, but once I go to my folder, I'm going to go and I'm going to hit file upload. And remember, I told you to save it to your desktop so you can easily find it. So here is the test that I just had. And then at the bottom right of your screen, you're going to see the one upload complete, and then you'll see the actual document. And once you see that document, then you have to change the share settings. So you're not quite done yet. We still have to open it up and we have to do the share settings. Now, this is the reason why I like to upload my video into my drive. Someone said it earlier in the chat where, you know, we use Google Voice. So Google Voice, I use that as a way to message my students. So if a kid is saying, hey, I'm having a hard time with this, or I'm not quite sure what this is, if I already have a video, I can easily go into my Google Drive. I have an app on my phone, and then I just type in what the video is, and then I can sit there and send them the link, and they get it right then and there. So a lot of good advantages of uploading your video into something that's pretty quick and easy. And it's similar to Dropbox if your school uses that as well. So again, we want to make sure we change the share settings. Now, your school may look different from mine, and sometimes depending on if you're using your personal Google Drive versus your school drive, it sometimes can look a little different. But when you automatically upload something, it will automatically sit there and say, you know, private, which means only you can access it. Now, learning from doing it wrong, sometimes what I tend to do is if a kid has an issue with it, I'll send it to them and then they can't see the link, and then I just invite them to that. What I have done now is I try to select anyone with the link. Now, if you hit the second button, now depending on your organization, it will probably say on and then your district, like I saw New Hanover County. So New Hanover County schools would be over here, or on anyone at New Hanover County schools that has that link. Or you can just share it within your department or within your PLT, so you can sit there and you can edit the file. But you must share your stuff. If you don't share it, if you don't select anyone with the link, it may not be visible to others. And you spent all that time creating that video, it may not be visible. So now that you have, you know, had the link, it's going to look like this. Anyone who has a link can view. Now that I have the link, I can sit here and now incorporate it into my feedback. So here's an example of something. I think this is maybe my Math 1 kids, and it's also Math 2. So I have a video and I say, hey, watch this video, and then I have a little reminder, a little pointer. Now, depending on, now this is through Canvas, so Canvas is a little harder when you talk about like the formatting. You might sit there and, you know, I like to space out my feedback so it's not all jumbled up, but this is something that's old feedback, so they kind of all combine them together. But this is just a way to sit there and have that video, a quick and simple video, as well as sitting there and having a reminder. Now, those of you that are using Zoom, if you have a Zoom account, you can also make a video. So again, remember when I was saying when I first started teaching with NCVirtual, there were a lot of different tools and web tools that I just was overwhelmed and could not add one more thing to my plate. So Screencast-O-Matic was my lifesaver. Many of you have access to Zoom and many of you are used to Zoom, so use what you have. So once you create your room, you can always go up at the top and then hit meeting and then record. And then that records your actual screen. So now we need to share. So you can see how enthused I was as I was trying to sit here and share my screen. And this is the same thing, like if you were to sit here and do Google Hangouts. The difference with Google Hangouts is like when you're meeting with your kids with Google Hangouts or Google Meets, you can sit here and you can share your screen. The difference is, I think, is that you can't actually record like you do in Zoom. But you want to be able to share your screen. And then you won't be able to see it on your end because you are not a presenter. But when you are in your own room, if you click on annotate, which is right over here, then you can sit here and you can draw on your paper. And you can draw on your paper with your pen. And then I can sit here and I can add a text box if I want to. And you know what, it's really hard for me to be able to see that, so I want to change my font or change my format. And if I mess up, I can sit here and, erase that. And the thing is it doesn't mess up my screen. I'm just annotating, or I'm just making a mark on my screen. It doesn't actually affect your slides. So this right over here is kind of what it actually looks like. And so remember, I had that same worksheet that I had before. And you couldn't see earlier, but right over here where it says draw, this kind of lets you sit here and you can use your mouse, which I was just using, or you can use a tablet pen. Remember when I made a mistake and I wanted to erase it. And then this lets you change your colors. And for some of you, if you don't like to see, hear your voice, but you still want to write or annotate, like you want to have the kids' stuff. And sometimes it's easier just to, to draw on it with a pen, like how you would do a brick and mortar school instead of doing it online. Sometimes adding all that extra text stuff can be a lot. You can sit there and save it. Now, you don't actually have to show your face. As a virtual teacher, it's a running joke. The kids don't think I'm a real person. They think I'm a robot. So on very rare occasions, I show my face, but oftentimes it's really just my voice going over the screen. But as you sit there and you're recording, you are sitting there and you're typing right on your screen. Now, we talked a little bit about, I showed you how to create the video. What I want to do is kind of talk to you about some screenwriting apps. Now, what you saw right now was me just using my mouse, which the pro is that I don't need equipment. I can just sit there and just use my mouse and I can sit there and I can write on it. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, there it goes. So cons can be frustrating at times, which you just saw a little bit of that, me trying to sit there and get back to it. So one of the suggestions, especially if you're doing math or you're doing something where you have to write things out, you want to write as much as possible so you don't have to actually do a lot of writing with your mouse or with your cursor. You can just sit there and point out or highlight different things. A bamboo tablet. Now, a bamboo tablet, for those of you that don't know, what that really is it's like a big size, like an old-fashioned kind of like mouse pad, but it's electronic, and it has like a little cord, like it looks like a phone cord that you stick in the back of your computer into a USB port. And it's really simple. I mean, you don't have to download anything. You just plug it in and it works. So it's awesome. And it comes with a built-in pen. The thing is, it can be temperamental. Sometimes with me, like I'm sitting there and I'm writing, and then all of a sudden I hit a button because it has like little mouse buttons in there, and it zooms in out of nowhere. So it can be extremely frustrating. But once you sit there and you write in there, it helps out a little bit. So my suggestion is use your mouse to maneuver when you want to write, because it can be a pain trying to figure it out. So for example, if I want to sit here and I want to write over here where it says you, I can sit there and use my mouse to go to that point and then use my pen to then go and write it. Now they can be a little pricey. So sometimes people, you can suggest using the bamboo stylus, which is just a pen. The difference between the bamboo stylus and the bamboo tablet is the stylus is just a pen. So you're looking at anywhere between about $40 to $50, depending on like after tax. And you can use your computer mouse trackpad. Now the tablet is where, again, you use the pen and it comes with a little mouse pad that goes with it. Now, what I personally use is my Surface Pro. It's my personal fave. I can download my file as a PDF, and then I can make a recording of me, and I can make a recording of me and me working through the problem. So now I have two things. I have a video of me doing it, and then I have the actual answer key. A con is it could be pricey, but it's not too bad when you can, find a good deal. A suggestion that I would have is to make a video of a worked out solution answer key, and then you can upload that video as well. So it's really, really well for those of you, like in the beginning where we talked about modeling what you want them to do. So you can sit there and you can have, your answer key, and then you can model it by making a video. And then you can actually, for those of you that don't want, for those students that maybe not listening to it, they just want to be able to visually, like have a quick pic of it, they can sit there and upload that as well. And then iPads. Many school systems already have iPads already in their carts or already in their media center. So a pro is you can use your stylus or your finger, and it's probably readily available in a lot of your classrooms. So when you get this, these again are live links. You can sit there and hit the screen recorder app or Explain Everything. I think Explain Everything might be like $10, but this iOS screen recorder is very similar to the Screencast-O-Matic. The con of this is it's harder to pull up files. So you'll need to use a PDF to access your files through the Google Drive app. So once you go into your iPad, you might want to have that app, and then you can easily pull up the PDF, and then you can write in there. And last but not least, I've seen people use document cameras. A lot of people have that in their classrooms, or they used to, and they're smaller now. You can just put it up into your computer, plug it up into your computer, and then it will show on your screen, and then you just have your old-fashioned hand as you're writing things out, and you can, quickly make a video that way. Are there any questions?
Hey, Tiffany, we had one question a bit earlier in the chat when you were discussing recording options. So someone was wondering if there was a time limit for Screencast-O-Matic or any of the other tools that you shared.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So for Screencast-O-Matic, I want to say the free version, I think the time limit is 15 minutes. If you pay for the paid version, again, I think it's like a one-time fee of $30. That is unlimited. I have made videos up until 20 minutes, but a lot of times that's me of like being a content teacher of trying to explain things. Sometimes it's a little bit too much, but I want to say the free version, the time limit is 15. And I'm not sure about the Zoom meeting, but I would imagine I think there isn't a time meeting or time limit. I think for some of them, it might be an hour for the free version, but for the paid version, it might be unlimited. Any other questions? So wait, we do not use Google Classroom, we only use Canvas. So I use Canvas as well. So I have all these screen recording things. And what's great about Canvas is like once you go into your Canvas, you can sit there and you can upload this as an MP4 and it goes straight into there, or you can have a link. And will you get the recording of the webinar reference and questions and links? Yes, you will get that as well. No, there isn't. I don't think that there's a limit to the free version of the Screencast-O-Matic on how many videos you can make. Again, like I said, I tend to download it as a link because it just gives me quicker access to be able to, because when you download it up into their server, you have to worry about their server. When you sit there and download it onto your desktop and put it in your Google Drive, it's really simple and straightforward. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had an email or I've had a text from a parent or a student and they need help with something, and it might be, you know, years and years later down the road. I could just sit there and then go to my search box and then upload it. You just want to make sure that you name it, you know, something that you can find to it.
Hey, Tiffany, I just want to do a quick time check. So we
Yes.
are at 11:54. So
Yes.
just want to respect folks' time. So just wanted to give you a heads up.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So organizing your feedback. So this is another thing that took me a long time. So while I'm sitting there and I am creating these, and I know I have this random 3, sorry, but I have my feedback. I sit there and it takes me a long time. So again, we want to work smarter and not harder. So oftentimes you sit there and you see students that they're making the same mistake over and over and over again. You know, what do? The same thing happens in a virtual classroom. So this right over here actually takes you to an actual link to my live way of how I organize my feedback. And this is where we'll end with today. This again is way more complicated than it looks, but basically all I did was the feedback that I had before, all I did was just kind of copy and paste it in there so then I can use it for a little bit later. And it took me years to get a really good system, and I'm always tweaking it. And I use Google Sheets so I can take my feedback with me wherever I go. So it's something that's really simple and straightforward that I tend to use. And these are just examples of, you know, feedback that I give to my students. Sometimes it's a video, sometimes it might be a website, sometimes it might be a worksheet, sometimes it's really specific. It really just depends. Sometimes I like to try to do a mix between the words and the videos. So I might have a video that I just created and then highlight some special things, or I might sit here and I might highlight some vocabulary. And then a lot of times if I see that a student is missing the same question, then what I like to try to do is I post it in Canvas, or I'll post it in Google Classroom or Blackboard or wherever, and it says, hey, it looks like we need to review. And that same video that I sat there and posted in feedback, now the entire class has it. And then I can always sit there and include a follow-up question. So here is my, you know, hey, we need to go over this, and then I have a video. And then there is, hey, can you send this to me? So that provides a way of communication for students. And if you're feeling fancy, if you have all these videos, you can sit there and create a Google site or a Google Classroom, and you can put that into Canvas. It doesn't really matter. The videos don't have to be yours, but sometimes it's hard to find the right video, so it's just easier just to go ahead and make your own quick and easy thing, and then you just upload it. So that is all that I have to share with you. I will stay on for questions if you have. I want to kind of throw up my email up here. You're going to be able to get a copy of this presentation and the webinar. And again, it has the different steps. But if there's something that didn't make sense or something that you needed extra help with or had a follow-up question, please feel free to reach out to me. I appreciate you spending your hour with me. And I hope you have or enjoy the rest of your day.
So Tiffany is going to hang out for a couple of minutes for anyone who has a specific question as folks are logging off. Thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. Again, the recording will be located on our website, and we hope you join us for an upcoming webinar. Have a good day.